being in front of everybody, talking about our signing classes. As Coach kind of hit to, there's been a lot that's changed, not only in college football as a whole. Obviously, recruiting has a lot more gray hair, maybe a little more seasoned. But every year it's fun. It's fun to celebrate our class. You know, there's a lot of work. It's 2 or 3 years in the making with all of these guys. It goes back to seeing these guys at high schools, at their games, getting them on campus for our camps, for junior days, unofficial visits, summer official visits now. And it's not, I know I'm the one that has to talk to you guys all the time, but it really is. It takes a village to put together a recruiting class, from our coaching staff that does a great job to our support staff. There's some in the building here, professors on campus, academic support, and then mostly our players. Our players are obviously, they're vital in helping us recruit guys, host guys when they're on campus, and we really look to their feedback. It's a smaller class this year, only 15 scholarship guys, 2 walk-ons, which is very different than years past. Obviously, the 2 walk-ons and that number being so low is due to the 105 number. As we're going through and trying to restructure our roster, there's just not as much space as we once had, so that's something that's definitely unique for us. Usually we've always got 10 to 12 walk-ons that are committed at this point, so this year only having 2, definitely a little bit different. It's really a Midwest class. I think we've got about 12 of our 15 commitments, scholarship commitments, are from surrounding states or within that 6 or 7 hour radius. I think 11 of them are from Iowa or states that are touching. So then we got a couple guys from Florida, one from Massachusetts, lives in Massachusetts, goes to school in Connecticut. But it really is kind of a tight Midwest class. And it's, as a whole, kind of hit what we needed to. Right now, more than ever, the fluidity in your roster, it's ever changing. So you're trying to project what spots you need from a high school standpoint, from a portal standpoint. Coaches have the tendency to overreact sometimes at any given point in the year, whether it's spring ball or fall camp, based on what their room looks like. But you have to be in constant communication with Coach Ferentz, the coordinators, and position coaches on just what the outlook of the room looks like. And now more than ever, we've condensed those spots. So right now, as you can imagine, Coach Parker is trying to get more spots on the defensive side of the football. And he showed me his algebra equation on his board in his office that I did not understand at all. But that's what they're trying to do. Initially when I sat down and kind of looked at where our roster was and what our budget was for each position, each side of the ball, and you condense it down, you realize that 105 is still a lot of players, but going from 130 to 105, you're really cutting a lot of meat off the bone. So it's been a fun exercise. We're still talking through it as a staff and kind of figuring out where we're going and how we want to budget everything. But it certainly played a role into this class being a little bit smaller this year. And as Coach said, our goal is always to build through the high school ranks, just like the NFL builds through the draft. Our transfer portal is the NFL's free agency. We'd like to go out and fill some holes that if we have some, we'll do that with the transfer portal. We will be active in the transfer portal. I will not get into specifics. I know the question will come about what positions we're going after. You guys all follow me on Twitter. You can probably see some of the follows I have. You can probably put 2 and 2 together and figure that out. But that'll ramp up on Monday. Obviously there's some kids already in the portal, grad transfers. There's some kids that are coming from schools where their staff unfortunately got fired. So it's already started a little bit, but I think Monday the avalanche is really coming, and that's kind of where myself and our personnel department will dive into that with our coaches, and it'll be good. And one thing to kind of dovetail off what Coach was talking about with the calendar change, having our coaches here in December and not being on the road for not only roster retention, but when you're trying to look to kind of fill some holes through the portal is also a huge advantage. The last couple of Decembers have been pure chaos. You don't know what day it is, what's going on. You're trying to retain your roster, get ready for a Big Ten title game, bowl game. You're out on the road recruiting. It's just pure chaos. I think this is one thing the NCAA did get right. It's a step in the right direction, but as a whole, I think the calendar maybe needs to be blown up and start over again, but not sure when that will happen. But